John, it's so glad to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
After 18 years of emailing, hundreds of emails. And it was like a dream has come true for me because 18 years of emailing and then 2 nights ago at Istanbul airport giving a hug. Yeah, so it's
Face to face is always better.
always better. So, John, I would like to hear your story. I'm going to the basics. I would like to hear your story about the microtonality and microtonal guitar from the beginning.
From the very beginning.
Very beginning.
I was born
With the microtonal guitar.
in my hand. Yeah. We just had an amazing 2 days. This first ever festival of microtonal music. Way back in 1977, when I had just finished my PhD, I went to a conference, and I was giving a paper about why this sounds different than this, and the whole concept of timbre and tone. It was the American String Teachers Association had this big convention, and after I finished, a gentleman came up to me with a guitar case, and he said, "I have a guitar I think you'll be interested in." And I thought, oh no, someone wants to sell me a guitar. Okay. And he opened the case, and the guitar looked like this. The frets were all in a weird place. And I looked and I said, what's going on here? And he said, can we meet? Can we talk? So we met a half an hour later. He played for me. And and this gentleman, his name was Tom Stone. And he said, this is what's going on. The tunings aren't exactly right, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And so we started a relationship. And I ended up, at this point, he had just started a company called Novatone, New Tones, right? And he was interested in spreading the word. And I actually became one of his salesmen. And I did demonstrations for people saying, look at these chords, listen to all this. I had to do a little homework to figure out what was going on.
Did it sell well?
No. The joke was, by 1985, he went out of business because he couldn't sell enough. And the other joke was that he published this beautiful booklet explaining everything about harmonics and tunings, and on the front it said, an idea whose time has come. He was wrong. He was off by about 25 or about 30 years. Here we are in 2019. Now the time has come, I think.
Has it come already,
I
or
think
is
so.
it coming?
I hope. Oh, it's always in process.
Yes.
Not everybody knows about it yet, but you've been helping with all of your
try my
YouTubes
best.
and all that. Absolutely.
We try our best together.
Yeah. We use what we can at the time. So that's basically how I got started. And I was thrilled originally with the music of Bach. I had heard that Bach's music was not played on straight frets, that the pianos or the harpsichords were not tuned the way they were. And that drove me crazy. I wanted to hear that. And that's why I got really involved. But then I started exploring more about, well, what else is happening? I was also finishing my PhD was about this.
Timbre
and color. But it was also about the history of the guitar in the 20th century. Because I learned to love the classical guitar, but as soon as I heard Stravinsky and Bartók and this modern music, I thought, all this can do is Fernando Sorin and Carulli and things like that, and Giuliani. There must be more than that. And of course, there was. So part of my thesis was, what happened in the 20th century? Is there any modern guitar music? And the answer is, of course, yes. So it was two things. It was about color and tone, and it was about that. So it ended up that the University of California wanted to publish my thesis, and I had to update it. So I looked into all the guitars of the 20th century and ran into this guy named Harry Partch. And he, of course, was fiddling around with frets back in the 1940s. So I started to explore that music. Tom Stone had also introduced this instrument to Lou Harrison, a wonderful 20th century American composer. I got to know Lou and learned the music that he wrote for this instrument and just kept going.
So could you tell us about the book that changed my life? So the contemporary guitar, now that I understand, it's maybe part of your PhD, some chapters.
Yes.
Of course, the other chapters you work on.
Yeah.
Because that book, my teacher, Michael Ellison, gave it to me 18 years ago. And here I am with you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the moment. That's the book. So could you tell us about that book?
Well, the book explores all the different aspects. That was the thesis, about color and timbre, but also about new repertoire. And not enough, but some new repertoire used so-called microtones. So I had to explain what those were all about and have little pictures of where the frets were and that sort of thing. And eventually that book sold out, and I got asked to make a second edition. And then I got to add a huge chapter, almost 100 pages on nothing
years.
but microtones.
I sent you during that time. When is it going to be published?
Yeah.
It's going to be for maybe 20 emails.
I know, well, it took way, way too long. In fact, the publisher kept writing and saying, "Where's the book?" And finally, our contract ran out, and we had to start a whole new contract because I missed the deadline 2 or 3 years in a row. So, as Douglas Adams, you know, the hitchhiker, he used to say, as an author, "I love deadlines. I love the sound as they go swishing by."
Swishing by.
Yeah, they swished by me at least 3 times. So eventually, yeah, we made it.
Could you tell us about the composers that you have worked up to now, like Ben Johnston, Terry Riley, Lou Harrison? Have you met Harry Partch?
No, he died before I rediscovered him, unfortunately.
So all the composers you collaborated with.
Well, Lou Harrison was definitely one of them because of this guitar. And of course, as soon as I got the guitar and learned how to play it, I went to meet him and play for him. And said, "Well, how do you like this? You know, how is this working, et cetera, et cetera." And he was very enthusiastic. In fact, I started arranging some of his music from other medium because there were pieces for harp, for example, that were in pure intonation that fit beautifully on guitar. And I thought, well, he only wrote these few pieces. Wouldn't it be nice to have more Lou Harrison?
Like the Sonata in Incertum
Exactly.
that you played was written for harps.
That was written for 2 harps,
yes.
yeah. And there's beautiful pieces like Music for Bill and Me. It turns out, just not to get too far along Lou Harrison's story, but when he first met Tom Stone, he said, "I'm going to write you 5 suites, and each one is going to be in a different tuning system, and you'll be able to mix and match. You can play one movement from the Pythagorean and play it next to one with the pure intonation and make all this stuff happen." And Tom said, "Great, tell me what fingerboards you want, and I'll make it and deliver it to you." And Lou was excited. He started composing. He finished the first piece, started the second piece, wrote 2 movements, and Tom never delivered the fingerboards. So he stopped writing. He took that piece and made it for string quartet. So in the meantime, I got to know Lou and I said, "Do you mind? Can we go ahead and make 5 suites? You send me music and I'll arrange it for guitar," and that's what we did. And eventually it became an album, Portgitaro, Porgitaro, because Lou's first piece for guitar, he said in the notes, if you just happen to have a guitar with movable frets, then tune it to this tuning system. That was 1952. And I asked him in an interview years later, "What were you thinking? Guitars didn't have movable frets." And he says, "Well, violas da gamba did. Why couldn't guitars?" And you know, viola da gamba was a rare bird for people in 1952. Lou was into early music way back when, so that was exciting.
Ben Johnston?
Ben Johnston, I got to know Ben because I was very, very interested in the music of Harry Partch. And I fell in love with this piece called Barstow, the 8 hitchhiker inscriptions, and I reinvented his guitar because it no longer existed. And I called Ben and said, "Listen, you lived with this man for a year, you got to know him very well, tell me about it. Did you know about the guitar?" He didn't know anything about the guitar. But he certainly knew the piece Barstow, and I sent him the recording I made on Bridge Records, and he really liked it. So I said, "Hey Ben, why don't you write me a piece? Would you be interested?" And he said, "Well, yes. Would you be interested in singing and playing at the same time?" I said, "Well, of course." He said, "What tuning should I use?" I said, You pick. He said, use your imagination, because I have another guitar where I can move the frets and I can do any tuning you want.
Folk guitar.
Yes, exactly. This German instrument
Yes.
made by Walter Vogt. And he's finally, after a year, he sent me this beautiful song cycle called The Tavern. He was very interested in Sufism and actually was dabbling in that religion, and he fell in love with the words of Rumi. So he set 8 of the pieces of Rumi, and it's all about being drunk, of course, but it's really about being spiritually inspired. So that's how I got to know Ben.
I have a question. You made the president. You have been the president for Guitar Foundation of America.
Yes, yes.
How long was it?
4 years, 4 or 5 years.
So the guitar world. So you were a respected figure in the guitar world, which is a conservative, 12-tone equal-tempered
Yes, sir.
world.
Yes,
So
sir.
what are the reactions from that world? Because you were the president of the Guitar Foundation of America.
I know.
How was the conflict?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a conflict, it was a challenge, because I had found a new truth, like I had found a religion, and I wanted to convert everybody to the religion. So, for example, during those years, I think I was president from 1979 to like 82 or 83, there used to be a huge guitar festival in Toronto at the time. So, for example, I gave a talk and a lecture demonstration on tunings, right? It was called the Microtonal Guitar. The Guitar Foundation still has this beautiful magazine called Soundboard. It was a quarter.
My favorite.
Yeah, there you
magazine.
are. I wrote articles.
Of course,
I did that sort of thing. And every issue I did a new contemporary composer, but I made sure to always include tuning. And people would sort of scratch their head and say, okay, that's interesting. Do you know what the reaction is most of the time? I have a hard enough time with the frets the way they are. Don't change them on me. So there you go. The time had not come yet.
Yeah. I think we covered everything. Do you see?
Great, great.
Is there any other topic that you
If
want?
you wanted to talk more about Terry Riley.
Yes. Could you please tell us your collaboration with Terry Riley?
Well, Terry Riley, there's a Lou Harrison connection there, because the last piece of music that Lou finished, he had a gamelan piece, but the last actual piece was a piece for National Steel Guitar. And Lou did not like equal temperament, really didn't. He called it the industrial gray. There's nothing of interest. He got commissioned to write a guitar piece, and he said, I'm also tired of classical guitar. I like steel strings. And when I was a kid, I used to listen to Hawaiian music when I was playing on the road when my mother was playing cards, and over the radio, sliding music. I want to write for that instrument. And David Tannenbaum up in San Francisco got the commission, and Lou said, can you find me that guitar? And they figured out it was a national tricone steel guitar. So he wrote this beautiful piece, but all the tricone instruments, all the national, have straight frets.
Yeah.
So before the premiere, I saw Lou. We were doing a Harry Parch Centennial up in San Jose, and Lou pulled me aside. He said, John, I'm having a problem. I wrote this piece, and the guitar is an equal temperament. What can we do? And I said, first of all, why didn't you send me the piece, right? But send me the piece and we'll figure it out. So I got in touch with the National Guitar Company, and we made a guitar that had the frets in the right place. Great. The funny thing was that he wrote it for a 6-note scale, a mode, that's it, only 6 notes. He didn't care about the other notes. So I wasn't about to make a guitar with only 6 notes in it. So we had to decide, where are we going to get those other 6 notes to make 12? So I wrote to Terry Riley and 1 or 2 other people, and we figured out a scale. And when the instrument was done, I said to Terry, would you be interested in writing a piece? And he said, of course, send me the guitar. So he actually played it. He got blisters trying to do it, right? And this was right at the beginning of unfortunately, the first Iraq War in 2003. And he was he's a pacifist. And in his little town, there was as there was all over the world, millions of people in London, in Paris, in New York were saying, don't go to war. In his little town in Northern California, there was a march against the war, and the whole town got arrested. The whole town, right? So there were about 80 or 90 people in a gymnasium, and he had to go to court. And people were getting fined, and he said, well, can I work off my sentence? And he said, sure, what would you like to do? He said, why don't I write a piece of music? And he wrote an anti-war piece of music for that guitar.
Oh.
And that's how that piece was born.
Wow.
When bad things fall from the sky. Cuando cosas malas caen del cielo, in Spanish, right? That's how I got together with Terry.
Great. I would like to thank you so much, John, for being here in Istanbul, at Istanbul Technical University with us, and it was a great festival.
And I would like to thank you for making it happen, because this is the first ever International Microtonal Guitar Festival. Let it be the first of many.
Yes, I hope so. At last, could you please teach me? I would like to switch the fingerboards on the tombstone for the first and last time.
Okay, I show you, maybe not the last time. I don't know.
Okay.
So the fact is it's a magnet, but the magnet is attached all the way, so you have to break the contacts. So you have to pick it up here,
Let me see.
and because it bends,
Okay.
you break the, I do it so, and then you push it on to one side
Okay.
while you're picking it up. And then it's
Perfect.
ready to go.
I would like to do it.
Yeah, but now I put it back on and you take it off.
Okay.
When you put it back
That's
on,
my pop-up
Yeah.
exam. Yes.
then you just,
And you can mark me from.
I will, I'll grade you
Yes.
accordingly. Then you slide it on, it's ready to go. Student,
Okay. Yes.
good luck.
So I'm a Microtonal guitar student.
You are now.
Yes, in your PhD or maybe elementary school. So, oh, great. Ah, wonderful.
A true guitar player, you smell the wood.
Yes, I love it.
Watch your fingernails.
Oh, yes, so, okay.
You get a grip.
I get a grip.
There you go.
Then you push it
Push it
downwards.
downwards. And then, yes, and after you push, then you pull.
Wow.
Ta-da!
Oh my gosh, it's rubber.
It's rubber. Yeah, yeah.
And I would like to change it with this complicated one.
There we
Is
go.
this quarter comma?
That's the Lou Harrison just intonation one.
Ah, what's the limit?
5 limit.
5 limit. Okay, from downwards?
Yeah, and then you stick it up there, get it way in the corner to make sure it's in the right place.
Oh, early.
I think, yeah, you want to do it first, otherwise it'll be too hard to put. There you go. And then give a little push from the bottom to make sure, probably from there. There we go. Is it moving?
Yeah, a little bit. Have you ever broken your nails during
Never,
that?
never.
Ah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Because
Okay.
I'm scared to death to do it.
Yes.
And that's why you make it, there you go, there you go. And then you move it there. Voila.
Oh, that's perfect design.
I think you passed the test.
What's my grade?
I give you an A. An A minus. You didn't get it perfect the first
Yes,
time.
A minus. Yes.
Next time
And-
it was.
Well, of course, I have to tune it.
Now you know what we should do?
Yes.
You should teach me how to refret your guitar.
Okay. Do you wanna?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes, still.
Wonderful. Too many notes. Nice sound. Sound better on this one.
The first tools.
Is everything still running?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So let's pretend I don't like that note.
Okay. But so you need this tool
Okay.
because it's an added fret.
Mm-hmm.
You can find the hole
Mm-hmm.
and
There's a hole under it?
yes, in the middle of the cube.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ah!
yeah, you got it quickly.
Or just
yeah, just do whatever
lever-
you want. Here we go.
Well, that was
Maybe
easy.
the virus.
And what if I want to put it there?
Yeah.
Do I need to use this or do I
No,
use
just your hands.
Just my hands, okay. So we'll put it into, get the string out of the way.
Yes.
Come on, baby.
And now let's try.
There,
Right.
a little too sharp.
Okay.
What if I want to make it flatter? Do I push here?
Let's
or
move.
Do I use this?
Yes, you hammer it on this.
Ah!
And yes,
Like this?
yeah. Here we go.
Perfect.
A plus.
Ah! I got it the first time.
Yes.
Thanks for the lesson.
John, thank you. Okay, let's go and visit Istanbul.